Diane, you're driving hyper growth at CarbonCure Technologies. What is this big goal you have of 500 million metric tons of CO2 out of the environment by the end of the decade?
CarbonCure is a Canadian clean tech company, and we're really in the concrete construction space. Since then, we've been pioneering the mineralization of captured carbon dioxide in concrete by injecting it during the mixing process. The carbon dioxide, as CO2, is chemically converted into a mineral and permanently stored in the concrete. Makes the concrete stronger through this process. Not only is this permanently locking away the captured CO2, but it's also reducing the amount of costly and carbon intensive cement used to make concrete. So it's kind of a win win for this industry. And Carbon Care, just kind of discussing that really ambitious goal that you had just mentioned, really deploying a portfolio of technologies that are all aimed at the decarbonization of the concrete industry and achieving our mission of reducing 500 million metric tons of CO2 annually by 2020.
So, to put it into perspective, that's a very significant amount of carbon dioxide coming out of the atmosphere, but also the cement industry is some 88% of the total CO2 emissions. And so you would think everybody would want to adopt this technology quickly. What are the shortcomings or challenges you're finding in getting rapid adoption?
The concrete industry, generally speaking, and the engineering community, as well as the design community, have been slow to adopt innovations. Prescriptive concrete specifications can pose a pretty significant barrier to any form of concrete innovation, including our own. It's an incredibly important mission for everybody, that decarbonization of the concrete industry. But carbon cure and other carbon removal innovators, we can't do it alone. We need support from government, from the design community, the concrete industry, and really any other stakeholders around the world that can contribute to this global mission.
Diane, you've got some great investors on board, including Amazon, Mitsubishi, Microsoft, even the Bill Gates Foundation. How did you get all of these tier one investors on board?
They're all aligned with our mission to reduce 500 million tons of CO2 annually by 2030. It's really part of their goals as well to focus on the long term decarbonization of the concrete industry. And really notably, Carbon Cure becoming part of these became a signatory of the climate pledge. 1 year after Amazon announced our selection as a climate pledge fund portfolio company. So really, it's a lot of mission aligned companies that are working together in this decarbonization objective.
Switching gears to the growth profile of CarbonCure Technologies and that end goal of 500 million metric tons of carbon dioxide, you've got significant growth happening across all of your teams. And there's always challenges to onboarding and training. But then, of course, mentorship is such a key element to really building your workforce to have a long tenure and be well engaged and productive. What are the secrets that you deploy to make that happen?
I'd say that most people, I guess, were kind of forced into a remote leadership role when the pandemic hit. I kind of had to jump on everyone because I've been leading a remote team across North America for about 2 years leading up to 2020. So, some of the key things that I do throughout that process to kind of, I guess, overcome some of the deficiencies that exist pretty naturally in remote leadership or remote relationship building is I tend to push myself a little bit harder to build rapport with my team, to build a relationship of trust that's really, really critical to that kind of mentor mentee relationship. Um, One of Carbon Cure's core values that I kind of hold most dearly is straight talk. And I always kind of do my best to stay true to this core value when mentoring, to give clear, honest, and kind feedback, and listening and helping my team understand their options and really following up to make sure that they're kind of comfortable to move forward.
In terms of how you develop that great rapport remotely, what are the actions that you take to make that happen and keep people really engaged?
So one of the key things that I do is I tend to lead with vulnerability. So I want to make sure that my team really understands that making a mistake, for example, doesn't mean that they're bad at their job, which oftentimes people think they are,
Yeah,
right?
it's sort of a natural
Um,
reaction people have, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. But really what that means is that they've encountered an opportunity to learn, right? And I like to kind of tackle this by sometimes sharing mistakes that I've made in the past and how I learn from them as well. I do kind of find that my success these days is pretty directly tied to the success of my mentees.
It's often widely said that great mentorship and learning happens when it's starting from the leadership of a company on down. So, can you talk about at CarbonCure what you and the rest of the leadership team are doing to bring those great philosophies of learning and mentorship and alignment towards the great mission together?
Absolutely. I think that one of the key things that we like to focus on are our core values at Carbon Cure. We kind of live and breathe them here, and so we want to make sure that everyone within the company is kind of speaking the same language. We are very open in this company, and we talk a lot about our mission, and we really align to make sure that everybody understands where they fit into that role. So where do you fit in the mission? Our overall mission is kind of our driving force or North Star in the company. And then we want to make sure that each team and person in the company understands how their specific job function aligns with that major goal in the company.